Just doing the thing. All right. And we are now. Oh, no, not yet.
Always the worst part. I feel like I should always do like a song and dance as you wait or something. But that's more your like wheelhouse, not mine. So.
All right. We are live on Facebook. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm super excited to be starting up the Pineapple Experience once again. I did this about a year ago. It was almost probably a year ago and stopped because Amber and I were just talking. Life happens. But I am honored to have Amber Gale with us today. And she has started a nonprofit for caregivers and parents of kids with disabilities. And I'm so excited for her to share her passion and her story, and for all of you to see this wonderful opportunity that she's put together. So,
Yay.
Amber, would you go ahead and give us an idea of who you are and just go with it, sister?
All the things.
All the
All
things.
right. So I'm Amber Gale. I live in Iowa, like teeny tiny small town Iowa. Like the bowling alley slash bar slash reception hall is the hangout place in town and the only hangout place in town. There's only 4 lanes in the bowling alley, like to try to like put it into perspective. It's very small, but I love it. I am a mom to 2 pretty awesome kids. My daughter's 11. She is obsessed with anything crafty, creative, paint, glue, glitter, destroy my house. She's into it. She's also a lot like me. She's got my sense of humor, my sarcasm for better or worse, and probably my attitude. I don't openly admit that very often, so there you go. But she is also an really amazing big sister to her brother AJ. AJ is 4. I keep saying he's 5. He's not 5. He is going to be 5 in September, and I am not going there yet. But he is 4. He does like the best Cookie Monster impressions. And he has some pretty good dance moves. I mean, he doesn't quite, rival your TikTok following, but he's got some moves.
Oh, he's blowing it up. It's incredible.
But he also happens to have Down syndrome. He was born with a congenital heart defect. He's got a trach, G tube, oxygen, had 2 open heart surgeries before he was even a year old. He's medically complex, for lack of a better way to put it. And he just doesn't let any of that hold him back. That's not really who I am. That's really where I come from, I guess. So in terms of who I am and what I do, I feel like the answer to that used to be yes, and I'm still working my way back out of it. So I used to be a yes person. I said yes to a lot of things, and I had a lot of things on my plate, and they're slowly dwindling down. But I am, I still have a full-time corporate job. I work at Hybe, which is a marketing agency. I, I accepted an appointment today, so now I'm on the state's disability, intellectual disability council. So that's the thing now. And then I am launching this nonprofit that you mentioned. And it launched yesterday. So I'm a little like, I don't know. I don't know what I am. I'm excited, nervous, and like all kinds of excited, more so than the nervous, but it's there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Would you mind kind of digging into why you started your nonprofit?
Yeah. So the nonprofit, it provides personal development opportunities to parents of children with special healthcare needs. It really started because of my own journey. I used to be very big into personal development. AJ came along and I went into total like survival mode of, as long as I get through this day, I'm good. Like that's all that matters, right? And I think a lot of us get there. You don't even have to be a special needs parent to get there. We get to that point. And then when we finally came home with AJ, so I was, in survival mode. He was in the hospital for almost a full year. Finally came home with him around a year old, and he, I struggled hardcore with what I call delayed postpartum depression, because it was the same feelings as I had with Avery when I first brought her home, which was that I don't know how to be a parent. I don't know how to take care of this kid. Like I'm not, like, just feelings of inadequacy, feelings of total detachment from him. And like, I don't know, there was a lot to process at that point. And then on top of that, we had the medical things and the grief of, I didn't lose my child, but I lost a vision of what my child would be like, and what our future would be like. And so I had a lot of that to process and really just struggled across the board. Got a therapist who kind of helped with some of that, like, let's process the back stuff of, why are you this way? And like, how can we get you out of the house more? Because I turned into a recluse. I really did. I didn't leave the house much at all. And then I joined a networking group because my friend had started it. And I went to a conference and I realized, hey, you kind of miss this personal development stuff, and it's really a big piece of you. And there was a girl there who is a life coach. She's my coach now. And I met her through both of those things. So she kind of bombarded me from every angle. And I had a free consultation with her. And I think, the irony, I know I'm talking to quite a few coaches in your group. Like, that's what a lot of this group is. And like, I remember going into this thinking there's nothing this woman can do for me. Like, I know how to live a life. You go to bed, you do stuff, and you go to bed. Like, you get out of bed, do stuff, go back to bed. Like, that's what life is, right? I don't need somebody to coach me on that.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Like, saying that and like thinking like what it's crazy. But I got on the phone with her and I had like that overwhelming like feeling of just relief that somebody was actually listening to me and helping me figure out like my vision, my goals, and realizing that I wasn't doing what I needed to do for me, and just, finally being heard. And it wasn't that my friends couldn't do that. It was that my friends were very afraid to push me because they didn't know what I was going through. And she just, I don't know. And I remember I'm not a crier, and I was like bawling my eyes out on this phone call, and apologizing a lot. And by the end of the call, I just kind of went, you know what, this is kind of dorky, but I'm going to have to pay you to make me cry every week because I feel 1,000 times better. And even if that's all my coach ever did, I felt better.
Right.
Um, but I didn't. There was a lot more. So that was like my intro to what is life coaching. It is not helping you go to, telling you to go to bed, get up, do things, that sort of process, obviously. But that's where that came in. And I realized how much that helped me as a special needs parent, and how much I really felt like other people needed that. So I tried a couple things. I tried to be a coach for a while. It wasn't for me. It's not that, I don't think, I could have forced myself to, but it's not me. So ultimately, I had the conversation, with my coach, who pinned me down and said, that there's a need for this. You know that it will help people. You want people to have it, but you also know you're not the one to do it. So where do you fit in? And where I fit in is I like to put things in boxes and draw arrows and make lines and organize things and make processes. So here I am starting a nonprofit to help provide those services to parents, caregivers. That's a long story, but
It's
that's where we got.
it's beautiful because I just want, I can, well, on some level, I mean, having a child be born when we have this vision during pregnancy and the aftermath of it is real. It's real.
Mhm.
And, you know, AJ being in the hospital for a year, kudos to you, Mama, for still having hair because Georgia was in for 3 weeks and I was in serious depression. So I can't imagine prolonging that to a year and all the special extra care that he needed to actually reach the point where you're like, I need help and I can't move forward doing this, because I think a lot of moms get stuck there. They think that if they do something for themselves, they're being selfish, or I don't have time to do that, or, let's see, are you stuck? Are you frozen? There we go. Okay. But
Okay.
gotcha. I that's just, it's not easy to admit like I need help, to
Yeah.
ask for that help.
Yeah.
And so I really want to celebrate you for being able to come to that moment within yourself, and then having the energy to extend it to other parents who are in the similar situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been crazy, and definitely I need help were not words that existed in my vocabulary. So I often like think of the fact that he was definitely brought into my life to push me into all kinds of directions, because I definitely need help with him. I cannot do that by myself. I cannot take care of him on my own. It takes a whole village to raise that kid. Um, and on top of that, then this entire nonprofit. So all of this actually has really culminated. I only said, you know what, this is a thing, and had that conversation with my coach 3 months ago. So this has only been in development for 3 months, and it went like that, like just crazy fast. And it's because all of the, we'd done surveys and gotten the special needs community in Iowa very involved in it, and been like, hey, what do you need? What do you think you need? Like, what are you struggling with? Like, what kind of stuff do you need? Like, I don't know. I'm a data nerd. Again, this is my like type A, like put it all into boxes personality. So we collected all this information, and we're like, okay, so what is it that we actually need? What do we want to do? Got these pilots started, and just everything just went so fast because everybody was so passionate about what was happening and how it was changing their lives. And and not just the families that were getting the coaches themselves too were like, this is pretty awesome. Some of them are special needs parents, they aren't all. And it's been crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So how are you finding, are the coaches that are coming in, are they doing it on a volunteer basis, or how does that work?
Yeah. So originally when I first started, I was like, well, I'm not even a nonprofit yet, so we can't like pay you anything because I have nothing to pay you.
Right.
So our first coaches were absolutely in just, pro bono goodness of their heart. They were really ingrained in the special needs community already. And then as we kind of got rolling, we started to be able to look at it and go, okay, now we know we can, provide a stipend. It is not much. I'm not going to say anywhere that I am paying a coach their normal, like what they are worth, because I'm not.
Right.
There's definitely a give back element to it. But we're also trying to, make it beneficial for those that want to participate. So bringing in people to help like provide training and provide kind of insight to the coaches that do come in. And a lot of it's special needs based. Like I think, I don't have my calendar in front of me, like next month, Jolene, who co-authored, so the 5 love languages, Gary Chapman book, everybody knows that one. Jolene worked with him to write a version of that for special needs parents, so it's co-authored with him. So she's going to come in and like talk to our coaches and kind of help like just really provide that extra perspective, and do some training, and try to offer some value to them too, because I know that was my thing going into it, is I didn't want to be like, I just want to take from somebody so that we can give to somebody else. We wanted to try to find a way to like, how can we make this mutually beneficial for everybody.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. And coming from well, like for my personal experience, I want to get involved with NICU moms. Like I think there's not enough support for those mamas that are in the NICU with their babies. Like I felt like that's where I fell into like that really dark place. And but when you find that passion, when you connect with a cause, there's no even like monetary value that you can put onto helping someone who's struggling get to the
Yeah.
next level.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your parents that are involved? What are they looking for most of all? Do you
No,
notice?
it's a very broad spectrum. Like we don't tell people like, hey, come join, sign up, and we're going to help you specifically with your guilt. We just say, what do you need? And that's the way we set the program up, is that you come in and you get 3 months worth of coaching. Um, the first month it's every week, then it's every other week for the next 2. So we try to taper it down a bit, but the intent is that we can use that time to really understand what you need, because I'm sure, as you know too, when you get a new coaching client, a lot of times you'll come in and be like, hey, I really want to lose weight. It's like, well, you're not going to lose weight if you're not doing these 42 other things that are much more important than your weight,
Right.
right? So we try to like definitely like, we offer all of these things. So, at the end of that 3 months, you can move off into those things. But really, everybody that comes in, we're like, we're going to funnel you through a coach who's going to help you figure out that that's what you're working on, and like what your actual goals are and where you need to go. So, when you're done, you're going to like, am I going to go into a group coaching model, which is hopefully where we try to get most people to head, because obviously that's easier to manage than a bunch of individual coaches. But then, you could, potentially be meeting with nutrition or fitness coach, or you could be moving into, maybe you just want to hang out in the community that we're building. It's not fully up and running and existent yet, but we're, trying to build a community so that, there's other special needs communities out there online on Facebook, but there's none that are really like, hey, we're just going to talk about you and what you need, and not like 42 questions about your kid and what's this rash and like what's going on and why is this leg this direction. Instead of, I'm like, oh my goodness. So trying to really hone down and be like, this is a place for you. So I forgot your question, but I'm just going to keep rambling apparently.
I think you
um
nailed it.
but
Like
yeah,
it
that's
gave me
that's
like
really kind of what we're at.
goosebumps. I'm full. You nailed it because that's so important. Like focusing on you because I can't imagine the overload of questions and surveys and all these different things you have to do focused on your child, and
Mhm.
then you almost lose your identity, right?
Totally, yeah.
And that happens regardless of even non-special needs parents.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
just becoming a parent, you can be like, who am I? Mom? Yep, that's it. And
Yep.
so, oh, I got goosebumps head to toe when you said that because it is so important. It's so
Yeah.
important. And I love that what you're doing, it doesn't take the child out of the picture, but it puts the focus on the parents.
Yeah, and that's kind of our big, like, I don't know, if you hit the website, like the big first line is, your dreams matter too. Like it's not just about, your kid and what they're going to accomplish. Like you still matter. And if it weren't for people, and so we've got some articles that are kind of in the back end about, people who are special needs parents who, you know, also had other passions, who develop things that help support. I mean, obviously I'm working on a nonprofit, but there's products and things that have come out along the way that were developed and done by these parents. And it's like, well, if they hadn't taken the time for themselves, we would be missing all of these innovations, all of the support, all of these things. And so, just a reminder that you matter and you can make a difference. And it may not be in that way, it may be in a different way, but you've got to do something to really take that next step if that's what you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you find, and I know it's just getting started, but there's a little resistance or like a little uncertainty, like, oh, can I really get let loose and be vulnerable? Or are they just like, I am all in, here I am, help me?
Yeah, I think we get a mix of both, to be honest. And it's funny because when we surveyed people, a lot of people didn't come back and say they wanted a life coach, which doesn't surprise me considering the way that I approached it was like, what the heck do I need that for?
Yeah,
So we really realized, like, in our marketing and like in our trying to reach people, that we've got to really push, what life coaching can do for you and what it actually is, more so than anything else. So that's been a thing because a lot of people come in, they're like, oh, it'd be great, a book club. And a book club is great. It really is. But it's just so different. So we actually, for one of our pilots, we had taken families that are women who had, said that they'd be interested in other things, and on a like 5-point scale, they still said life coaching was like a 3, like meh, maybe, I don't know. And said, hey, we know this wasn't your top rated thing, but we want to put you in this pilot and just see what you come back with out of it. And every single one of them was totally blown away. And the feedback we got out of it made me cry. And as we've already noted, I'm not a crier. So that was a thing. But it was just like, that the idea of, I think, like, I put one on my vision board, which is upstairs where I was sitting earlier today because I needed it. But it was, it just said something about how we had, not just changed her life, but like her whole family has never been happier. Those were like the last words out of the whole like testimony. And I was like, that itself is what we're going for. Like, we want to take care of you, but by taking care of you, that just enables you to spread that like so much further and be, in my case, that was definitely much more pleasant to be around once I had a coach. But just, some people will start out pleasant, I did not. um, so that's really the focus, is we want to make everything better for everyone.
yes, yes. And a lot of times, I know even with my life coach experience, like I jumped on a call today with my coach Amanda and started the call with one thing and completely shifted into something different.
Yeah,
Like it's amazing how someone on the other side who knows you and is open and to receive, like, make space for you, they become a mirror to
yeah,
see, to discover the real cause of why you're feeling the way you
yeah,
do. And
yeah.
that's really interesting how I think the word life coach is almost overused.
Hmm.
Because even I use life coach, but I mean, there's just so much more to it. It's like discovering you again. It's
Yeah. We played with some different names and we may rebrand it under something else, but the problem is then when you're trying to also reach the community to work on getting your volunteers in, if you don't call it what it is, like then you're like not reaching it. So it's kind of this like whole balance, but yeah.
yeah. So how do you and AJ, he is, oh my gosh, I see a video of him on TikTok and he just lights my soul on fire. Like he does sign language and he dances and he just is like on beat. He's just this little ball of energy. And so with him being a ball of energy, I'm sure you are exhausted. So what keeps you going at your
Naps,
Starbucks?
Starbucks. No. Um,
Starbucks. Right?
oh my goodness. No, not just naps and Starbucks. But um honestly, he and my daughter both are like a lot of it because I work in my office. This is my basement office. I have basically lived here for the last 4 years as AJ's came home from the hospital. Um and I'll pop upstairs in between meetings and on breaks and be like, hey, and like get my little kid snuggles in and get my love in. And it's just he keeps me going. He exhausts the heck out of me. I'm always like, dude, you were literally born with half of a heart to pump the same blood around your body, and you can like outrun me any day of the week, no matter what. And I don't know how it works, but you need to sit down. But I mean, the fact that, this kid, we were told multiple times he wasn't going to live and that, we should go home with hospice and there's nothing anybody could do. And the reality is he said no. And he decided what his fate was going to be. He didn't let them decide. And that, like, energy that he has, just, it's infectious. Like, everybody around him gets it. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna check these comments quick and see. Oh my goodness, I just have goosebumps head to toe.
It's been crazy. This was never like the plan. I never set out with this idea to begin with, and it just evolved this way over all of the feedback and all of the like support and help. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And um, so a parent walks in, they get coached. Where you said they go to, you're hoping to either go to group coaching or is there, what avenue do you foresee them? I'm assuming they'll just keep circulating through
Yeah,
service.
so in some ways, it does serve a little bit as a lead for the coach because we will do a stipend for the coach for 2 rounds of coaching sessions. So that's 6 months. And then after that, if there's any more coach, and then it's different. So the first one, it's for once a week for the first month, every other week for the second month, every other week for the third month. And you get into the next one, and we said you can start with every other week, and then you can have one a month after that. Now, if you want any more coaching sessions outside of what the organization is saying, hey, this is what we're going to work with you to get, that's something that we've had a couple people who have worked that out with their coach and said, I want to keep meeting every week. So they pay for the additional. And then when they hit the end of it, like it's on them if they want to keep doing that one-on-one coaching. So we do kind of stop the line, where the coach's involvement is, because otherwise you'd be stuck in like a cycle of, free coaching for life. And that's like not a good cycle to be stuck in. So we have that, but also then at the end of that 3 months, every 3 month session, we do like a referral form / meeting. And so the coach and the participant kind of work together and say, okay, well, what goals are you looking at? What are you wanting to do? And what service best support that. So we've got group coaching that will be up and running very shortly. Got a awesome lady who's picking that up and just running with it, which is how all this has worked. It's like, hey, I'll do that. And I'm like, oh, you okay. Because I'm not a coach, right? So it's crazy that I'm doing all of this and I don't coach anybody. So she's running with that. We've got some people who are coming in to do workshops. So doing some virtual ones, doing some in-person ones if this coronavirus craziness ever goes away. Because the intent was, some of the stuff would be in person eventually. We've been working with some conference providers, some people who put on conferences. I spoke at U Conferences, which is a local Cedar Rapids, Iowa women's business conference that went online thanks to all the craziness.
Yeah.
So I spoke at that a couple months ago, but they're going to do another one here coming up. The intent was like, we'd be able to get a table at, a conference and fill it with special needs parents. And you could, get the information and get the community all at the same time and still be focused on you and not your kids. So that was a thing. What other services were on there? I should have held my cheat sheet in front of me. I totally didn't. And then the kind of the online community piece was part of it as well. That's something, it's hard to build until you've got people that wanted to be a part of it. And there were a lot of people who were like, hey, I'm in 42 other Facebook groups. We're not ready yet. Cool. So that's starting to kind of kick up a little bit. We've started to invite some people in. There's not a lot happening yet, but that's something that we're definitely looking at firing up. I've got a couple of the coaches. I think what we're going to do is do a rotation where, for a week, it's yours for a week and you post whatever it is that you want to. And, you can include again, this is where I'm always it's got to be mutually beneficial. So you can include links to your own stuff outside of there as well. So that's a thing. And then what was the other one that just came up? I don't even remember what it was. But basically what we're doing is we're getting to the end of that 3 months and doing these surveys to get this feedback of what would be best for these people. And then, if it doesn't exist and we get enough feedback that that's something that they need, then we're going to work at getting it, because we have not had an issue yet where I say, hey, we need this, and put it out there and the universe answers. And it's like, hey, cool, I can do a vision board workshop for you guys. How's November 3rd sound? I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
That's
I don't know.
I love that. I love that. And if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, because I would be honored to help you in this. I mean, you have been a very supportive person in this group, and there's nothing more that I'd love to do than to help support any way that I can. Plus, you're not that far from me, so someday,
When this craziness goes away.
right? I know. One last question for you, my love. If someone was thinking about starting a nonprofit, what would your first piece of advice be?
Oh, get help. Don't because I started and I was like, I'm just going to get this stuff done. And then you get into this mountain of things and you think you can do it yourself. And the reality is there's a reason that there's so many services for it. Because you can do it. You absolutely can. You can fill out all the forms. You can mail in all the fees. You can do all the stuff. But the reality is that you need that other person that knows the nonprofit world to help you navigate what you can and can't do. We're doing a fundraiser right now, and I had to modify that thing 14 times because we were breaking laws by having a raffle. I didn't realize a raffle was a bad thing, but you can't have an online raffle. It's against the rules. You have to be able to enter it for free. It has to be a sweepstakes. It was all this craziness. And I was like, well, we can do a required donation, right? If we're doing it based off a judge. I don't know. We had to change it 14 times. So definitely get somebody involved, because the last thing you want to do is have this amazing service, this amazing thing that you want to do for people, and then find out you're doing it in a way that's going to cause you to end up in a lawsuit or lose the entire thing. So yeah, get some support, get some help.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on here and sharing. Um, and where can people find you?
Yes. So the nonprofit is called More for Caregivers. So it's MORE for FOR Caregivers. And it's just moreforcaregivers.org is the website. There's Facebook, there's an Instagram, there's a Twitter. But true to my nature, I live on Facebook. So most things will probably end up on Facebook. And the website itself has a ton of information. Our coaches have been filling it full of things, and we're hopefully going to add some courses. And I don't even know. It's just crazy. They just come to me and they're like, hey, can we do this? And it happens. So yeah, if there's anybody in the group that's got something that you're like, I think this would be awesome to offer to people. I need a playground for my new course, whatever it is, and you think it would make sense for special needs parents, we're definitely open for any ideas you've got, because heck, I'm not a coach. I don't even know what all is out there. And you guys, there's people out there that have some really rock star amazing ideas.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to ask that you drop the website in the comments too, so that people can find you and anything else.
Yeah.
I know you said you have a podcast as well. If you want.
Yeah, there's well, I don't have a podcast, but I was I've been trying to like get the word out because that's what's, we can fundraise and I can have all this money and it makes no difference if the word doesn't get out to the families to sign up and to participate and they don't understand what it means to join. So I have been talking my face off. I'm surprised I have a voice left, just trying to get it out.
Yes, yes. So share anything you have. I'm gonna post this. I don't even have a YouTube channel yet, but I think I'm gonna start one because and I'll put your information in that as well. But this will also be on my podcast, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm just honored to have you in this space and for sharing your beautiful story with us.
Yeah, and I appreciate you and the group because I stumbled into here at the time that I thought I was going to be a life coach, and there were a couple of times in some other groups where I was like, I think I need to like kind of maybe back out of here. I'm not a coach, and I've always felt super welcomed and loved in the group, and it's been an amazing experience to hang out with you guys and your TikToks. I can't dance yet, but I enjoy yours.
That's okay. And that means the world to me because that's what this group is all about. It's not doesn't matter what you do, you have a purpose, you have a passion and you're going for it. And so
Yeah,
that's why I'm so glad that you jumped on this opportunity to share your story.
yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome, darling. And again, if there's ever a time when you need support and you think I may have something that can help, I'm going to check out your website too here after I jump off. But I'd be more than honored to provide anything that I can to help support
I
you.
don't know. We were trying to have like a whole dance party to try to entertain people last night. I should have had you on my like speed dial to be like,
Always down for a dance party. I know.
oh no, no, I will probably almost definitely hit you up.
Yes, please do. Please do. I would be honored to contribute any way that I can. So,
Thank you.
all right, dearest. Well, you stay in touch and we'll chat soon, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so, so much.
Bye.
Bye.